Hey, welcome to day two of the 5 Day Growth Challenge. That's right, the 5 Day Growth Challenge as we get set in and let me just stop the screen share and so we can get back over. Hey, so I want to say hello to everybody this afternoon, this evening as you go through and grow through your week and hopefully you're taking part of the challenge and seeing all the great exciting things that you're getting on your business, the clarity that you're gaining and garnering from growing through the 5 Day Growth Challenge. And hey, I'm definitely am. That's number one. But number two, I'm getting some clarity on my business and cutting some things in that I should or should not do. So I just wanted to say hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon to you as you're tuning in here. Hey, hopefully you can hear me now. And as the song says, I don't know why that guy didn't want to hear Alicia Keys. I'm sorry, but it was a Verizon commercial. For those of you that may not know, but it was a Verizon commercial. But Alicia Keys sung that song of, I don't know why he didn't notice me. And then she called him to ask him out. Can you hear me now? But hopefully you can hear me now as we're going live here and getting ready to share and just dive in. Hey, today the Growth Challenge is about you doing some work. So before I get started here, before I get started fully, I want to ask you this question. Did you do your homework? That's right. So like I said, before we get started, I wanted to ask you, did you do your homework? And your homework was real simple, is who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal customer? That's simple. Just do it. Think about it. Do it. Done. Go through the process. Hey, if you missed it, couple things, go back, join the 5 Day Growth Challenge. You can go over to, if you're a member of Have Your Best Week Ever, we posting the link and things in there so you can go things, I say things, the way in which to follow it, but simply go to the bit.ly link, 5 Day Growth Challenge, and you'll be able to get all the recordings in the morning, and then you get the live communications that we do and the live teachings we do in the afternoon. So it's a two-piece equation. So challenge you to go and do that and think about it as you move forward and ask yourself, hey, what are you going to do to grow this season? When I say this season, I'm really saying, this quarter. So, hey, think about it from that standpoint. What are you going to do to grow this quarter? What are you going to do to grow yourself, grow your business? And that's what we're focused on as we're moving forward and going through, shall I say, growing through the 5 Day Growth Challenge. So I want to challenge you to do that and ask yourself, hey, how will I use these principles? How will I use this information over the next 91 days? That's why you see the 91-day game plan. So I'm going to get started here, and so you can get back to your afternoon, your evening. You can go and do your homework and take one of those products or services and really think about what you should be doing. So once again, welcome to the 5 Day Growth Challenge. Don't keep this a stranger, okay? If you have friends that are in business or thinking about going into business or growing into business, share this information with them. Hey, share the broadcast, share the link. Just look in the feed. You'll see the post of what you should, where you can go to actually join the 5 Day Growth Challenge. And it is a challenge because you got to work through it, grow through it, and be about it, if you would. So challenge you to do that. So let's get started here, Howard. This is day two of the Growth Challenge, and today is all about understanding your target market. Hey, what's your niche? What's your niche, as some people say, or what's your niche? And so who is it that you are truly targeting? Who is it that you're truly speaking to and going after? So we're going to share a couple things that will help you drive that home, a couple things that will help you move forward on that. So pull out your pen and paper because we got some questions we want you to ask yourself. Hey, so what is the need, want, or desire that your product, answer the question in the first person, my product or service fulfill? So what is that need, want, our desire? And really we should say and our desire, because there may be some needs and wants that it actually fulfill. People most of the time buy a want and they justify it with need. Yeah, they buy on want, but they justify with need. And so, so you want to look at all three of those as you're thinking about your core products or that one product, whatever that one product is. And we talked a little bit about it, is that you want it to be one of your most profitable products and most scalable products. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we move into, I want to say it's day 4, as we talk about the processes and the systems. So, you know, what is the need, want, and or desire that my product, that your product, not my product, but your product or service fulfill? So I want you to spend time thinking about that. What does my product or service cost? So you want to understand the numbers of your product, and what are you selling it for? So really truly understand those numbers, because the key part of understanding the numbers is going to help you understand who you should be targeting, who you should be selling to, who is your most profitable client, who's your most profitable person to be targeting. And so oftentimes we're actually fishing in the wrong pond. I say fishing, and this analogy that we use is that you don't want to use big sea bait in a small pond. Yeah. Or you don't want to use small pond tackle in the big ocean, because then you're leaving so much on the table. You see, in the first scenario, if you're using big sea tackle in the pond, the fish can only nibble, they cannot bite because the hook is too big. So how big is your hook? What is your hook? And what does it cost? So, that is why it's important that you understand what does your product or service cost. Who makes the decision to purchase your product or service? Who has the power or the authority to sign the deal? See, that's what you want to know. Who makes the decision to purchase your product or service, and who has the authority to sign the deal? Ink the deal. And that is what you want to really understand, because then that is who you're communicating to. That's who you're talking to. That's who you're sharing with as you move forward. Okay, so now that's something that's very key to think about. We call it the George, and in our industry, we always call it the George or the Jane. So who's the George or the Jane? That's the person making the decision, George or Jane, for your product or service. And so when you're going through that and you're beginning to say who my target market is, you can really focus on narrowing that down and niching that down and when you look at it. So take that ideal property or product, the ideal client, and then really dive back into it. So dive back into it and say, okay, now who's going to make that decision? Who's going to make that choice? So I want you to think about it from that standpoint. And then how are my products or services assessed? How do people get, a hold of them, if you would? How can people assess my products or services? So are you 100% virtual? Do they have to come into your physical store? Are you coaching live, showing up? I had I'll stop right here for a moment. I was talking to someone that coached them at one time, and so they were asking me, what was I working on mainly? I said, well, most of the things that we're doing are virtual from a coaching standpoint. Our training is still delivered in phase. But she was like, well, I really need to understand this virtual piece more, because, I'm tired of running from place to place to meet with people, and sometimes they don't show up. Other times they do. The meetings always run longer. And so, the beautiful part about virtual, it helps put some of the walls there to stop that from happening. And so think about your product or service. Where are most of your sales happening? And so that will help you shape and understand your target market and who you should be targeting. So I want to challenge you to think about those questions as you move forward. Now we're about to dive into two key things in identifying your target market. One is demographics, and the other one is psychographics. That's right, demo, psycho. And so these are the characteristics of the people that need, can afford, and assess and decide to purchase your product. So you want to understand who these individuals are. You want to understand who these individuals are. So I want to challenge you to really spend some time here thinking about who they are, because that's going to be the key part, is that you see and understand as much as possible about all of these individuals. So, hey, we're going to be moving fast. It's quite a bit. Today, the 5-day growth challenge, we don't go into this as detailed as we do on the weekly trainings. We have a whole training around your target market where you get all the worksheets and you get some pre-stuff, and say, hey, it's a lot of fun, but it gets you thinking about who you should be focused on. It gets you thinking about, hey, where do you put your arrow at? That's it. So first thing, demographics, age. Yeah. So how old is the person that you're working toward? I mean, your target market. When you look at your product and service, and as we were talking about all this, who's that ideal client? What's their age? Right now we have categories that we group people in. You can use that, but you can also go more specific and use the age and ask yourself about that person, their income. Like I said, we're going to move pretty fast here, but how much do they make? What's their numbers, of that ideal client, their gender, and so one of the things that, as you're seeing with demographics, it's a finite number. It's very, very specific. You can tag it. You can say it is what it is. And with psychographics, it's a little more vague. It becomes more of a, if you would, the generality of groups or buckets in which a person is put in, and so which your client is put in. So I think that is the easiest way to say that, and hopefully you will understand it from that standpoint. So now let's go ahead and so generation. We just talked about that a little bit, the generations of, what generation are people in, the Y and baby boomers or millennials. And so be careful, Dill, in pigeonholing people, but the purpose of this is really understanding who your target, so you can shape your message to focus on your target. I mean, you're still going to hit some other people, but you want to focus on your target. Next is nationality. Like we said, you can identify what a person's nationality is. And so, I'm not going to get into how do you go about doing this, but these are things that you want to ask yourself as you move forward. What's their ethnic makeup? And so once again, very, very, very specific. And you can garner that information, marital status. And so this helps you also shaping how their buying decision is. I was talking to someone earlier today, a prospect, not a client yet, but we were helping them with some projects possibly. And so we were talking about that. And as a married couple, the conversation was different than when I was just having a conversation with the guy. So that is something that I want to challenge you to really think about. The family size, how many people in the family, that impacts the buying decision, the frequency, the purpose. So all of that you have to think about. Occupation or industry. Hey, where do they work? That's going to also give you an idea of their income, both the potential and the current income. So I want you to think about it from that standpoint. Religion, what is it that they practice from a faith standpoint? And so all of this comes factor into what do you do? So if you have a training program and, of certain religions, they go to mass or they go to meeting on Fridays. Certain religions go to meetings on Saturdays, and certain ones go on Sundays. And so knowing this also helps you decide whether, hey, is that my target? Then I need to adjust the days in which I offer the service. What is their language? How do you communicate to them? Does it need to be multi-language, lingual, or does it need to be bilingual? Your product or your service that you're offering, the instruction guide. So all these are little things that you need to be clear on who your target market is, their educational level. That says a lot, and going and helping you understand and how to communicate to the person. Also, it talks a little bit about to their experiences, because a person that has a PhD has gone through a different level of commitment than the person that only finished the 12th grade. So let's get into psychographics here. I think that is something that is very vague, but it's very critical. That's right, it's very vague, but it's very critical. You remember I said that in the demographics that you can pinpoint exactly to the button of what's happening. The psychographic is the challenge is that you have to get into it. You have to really think through it, and so it requires you. Let's see if I can best phrase this. And I struggle with this first. So, if you don't quite get it right at first, that's fine. Just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. So the psychographics, you really have to say what are their beliefs, attitudes, and what is that emotional makeup of what's happening around the product? What's the emotional makeup of what's happening around the product or the service that you're offering? And so I want to challenge you to think about it from that standpoint. How does their emotional IQ come into play? All right, so let's dive into that. All right, so first one is lifestyle. What's that lifestyle that they're living? What is it? And when I say lifestyle, it could be that fast-paced lifestyle. It could be the, hey, everything is literally free, and the lifestyle of a single person is different than that lifestyle of most married people. However, don't generalize to that point, because you may have that single guy that's still very conservative and lives and lead a conservative lifestyle. So spend time understanding the lifestyle of your clients. And see here, sorry about that. We were just looking at the monitor to see if we had any questions as we were going through here. And so begin to think about it from that lifestyle standpoint. And then the next thing I want you to do is to think about it, as you move through, you thought about lifestyle, values and beliefs. Values and beliefs are very key. I mean, this is one of probably the most guiding things you have to sell to and understand about your client. What do they value? It could be quality over quantity. It could be quality over price. It could be frequency over deepness. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, Howard, I just saw the looks on your face like, what the heck is he talking about? Well, let's talk about that. So let's take a coaching or a training program. Some people, may like it small bits and bites every day, whereas others want to go deeper with you, but spend time with you over the course of once a week or twice a week at the most. And they're okay with that. That's what they value. And so asking yourself, here's my product, here's my service. If you're in the coaching space, then how does that tie into who does that best serve? And so once you understand who that best serve, guess what? Then, you can understand that. I love what someone said in the feed here. Psycho sounds a little scary. It is, but the reason it is, as we're talking through this, because it goes below the tangibles. The only way to measure it really is to monitor it. You just can't put a button or a pin. It's not a box that a person checks on the application. All the rest, you can actually get the box checked. That's right, get the box checked on the application. So, I won't make it sound so scary as in that psycho. But values and beliefs. So think about it. Attitude. How do they respond? How do they react? What kind of attitude they have? Is it positive? Is it negative? That person that you talk to every day, it's woe is thee. It's gonna get couldn't get any worse. And how you sell to that person how you market to that person is different than the person that says, hey, be happy. Hey, every day is a great day, no matter what is happening. And so asking yourself, what is the attitude of my ideal client? What's the attitude of my target client? And the motivation, what's driving them to do this? And do they tell others about the products they need? Do they, um, why they're looking to buy it? Is it because it's trendy? Is it functional? What motivates them to pull the trigger on purchasing? What does that? The activities and interests they have. What are their hobbies? What they like to do in their spare time. Understanding all of this also helps you, about your target market for your ideal client. Remember the homework you did on day one. This comes back into play. So you're tying all this together now. And then the social class that they're in, and how do they identify themselves? But also, where do they associate that? A person with a middle income may actually associate in a higher end class bracket or vice versa. And so understanding that is going to help you drive home and really create your target market. So when you get all this information now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to gather all this information, and what it's going to tell you is who that target client is. And so one of the things I want you to do is write the statement. You want to say, my target customer is, startup entrepreneurs that are making less than 500,000 or more, making less than 500,000 in revenue, and have 1 to 2 employees. That is my target customer. That's my target client. So whatever it is for you, it is for you. But the key thing about that, once you get clarity on that, you can literally help drive home your marketing. You can be very focused. You can have a laser approach in your marketing. My target customer for Lunch and Learns are mastermind groups, are corporations from 200 to 800 employees that may have a person over training. However, they don't have a training department. See, now that narrows it down, but it also gives clarity. And so what happens is there may be companies inside the company, there may be departments inside of a larger company that fits that bill. So here's your homework. That's right. Here's your homework. You're going to have homework again tonight. So as you move forward, I want you to list your niche so that, what niche and target are you going to focus on so that your dream audience will buy your product. That's right. List that niche. There's a phrase that says, hey, let's get rich in the niche. That's right. You get rich in the niche. So identifying your niche and just focusing on that niche. And I was reading this morning a very interesting article, and it was talking about highly successful entrepreneurs. And it was sharing a story of a gentleman that had an event 11 years running, and he killed it because it was not what he was focused on, but it was not in the niche. It had moved outside or shift outside the niche. Last year, he had 1,000 people to attend the event. How many people would cancel an event where they had 1,000 people registered and attending? He's moving into something else. But once again, identifying your niche and really diving in and saying, hey, what is that niche that you're focused on? What is it that you're going to offer to the marketplace, and who's that ideal target client for the marketplace? So as we wrap up, I want to challenge you to go ahead and join the challenge. Join the challenge. Take the challenge. Join the challenge. So simply go to the bit.ly link at 5-Day Growth Challenge. That's right, 5-Day Growth Challenge, the number 5-Day Growth Challenge after the bit.ly link. And you'll be able to just click in and join. And here's what you're going to get real quick. Each morning, you're going to get a preview of what we are sharing with the short video lesson for you to go through. Say, good cup of coffee. That's right. Good for a cup of coffee or a water break, either one. And so, hey, you can do either one. I'm only fair. I need to drink water too. So join the challenge, you get that, and then you'll be alerted in the evenings or afternoons when we go live the rest of this week. And then Friday, we're going to tie it all together and really put it into a master class that's going to help you grow and add value to help you crush. That's right, crush. Did I say crush? Crush the next quarter. Crush this quarter. And that's what I want you to do is crush Q2. Crush Q2 is going to be the key thing that you're going to focus on, and we're going to help you with that. But it all starts by taking this challenge and getting some basics in place so we can sprint to your best quarter yet. That's right, sprint to your best quarter yet. When you go into that July the 4th, you're going to be celebrating fireworks everywhere. Everything's happening so great, so good. People are going to be like, man, why are you partying like it's 19? You got the rest of it. It's because you were able to crush Q2. But the way to get started is take the challenge so you can grow into that person that you want to be this Q2. Hey, this is Howard. It's been a pleasure sharing with you. But once again, go take the challenge. Go take the challenge. And so you can have that best quarter yet. With that said, as always in closing, I challenge you to be the best you possible, because guess what? Everybody else is taken. If you try to be anybody else, you can only be second best. And the view doesn't change in second place. So take care, God bless. And we shall see you tomorrow on the 5-Day Growth Challenge. Take the challenge. Take it. Take it.